2, 1. What's up, guys? How you doing? Welcome back to another Ciara and Adam session.
Hey.
Lockdown session. Not long to go until we're back in the club. Info to follow. But for now, we're back at the park. It's lashing a little bit, but it should be okay. So, quick session today. We're just going to talk a little bit about some other types of boxing-related exercises that you can do to help with certain situations, and then we're going to run through what we've learned so far, and then we're just going to pare it back again and focus on one or two little things depending on what Ciara needs to work on. And we'll
Everything?
talk about that.
Everything.
So, first of all, I'm not sure if you saw the other day we did a video at the park and there was a couple of exercises. So I know we've talked about plyometrics, we've done the warm-ups. I'm sure everyone has their own kind of styles of working out of what you want to do, but there's a few things as well for boxing that you might not normally do that really kind of train your equilibrium, because when you're boxing you're obviously moving around a lot. You might get the odd knock on the head. It's going to throw you off balance maybe for a minute. I know a couple of times I've been hit with a good punch, and you know, you kind of almost have to reset because you don't know where you are. You get hit facing this way, and then all of a sudden you're facing this way, and it can be quite confusing. So you need to train your brain to be prepared for that type of thing. Most of the times when people are working out, or they're going to the gym, they're training their body, they're training their muscles. The brain actually needs to be prepared for these types of situations as well. So when it happens, it knows what's going on and it's prepared. It's experienced that type of thing before, and you can actually get straight back to it, and you can actually focus and not let the second punch come. So what I'm talking about is like your equilibrium, and that's telling your body where you are. Okay, so if I'm facing here, so the way that we're going to train our brains to react quickly, to get our equilibrium balanced and to get ourselves in the right place. If I'm boxing like this and I'm punched, I'm dizzy now, oh, where am I? You need to be able to get back to where you need to be, not worry about being dizzy, and get straight to it, okay? So how we do that, there's a few different exercises we can do. Number one is to make yourself really dizzy and then undizzy yourself as quickly as possible, and you repeat that process. So what we do in the club, we stand there, we take our finger, we point it at the ground. Ciara's going to come out in a minute and do some of these. You spin, looking at the ground like this, so everything's spinning, right? 1, 2, 3, and then shadow box it, okay? Now, you can't tell through the video, but I'm actually dizzy. The whole world is spinning for me. So the idea is that you're making yourself really dizzy, so when you stop, your body wants to keep going, and you're going to fight that urge, resist it, and get back to where you're boxing, okay? Once you've done that, once you can feel your dizziness wearing off, same thing again the other way. Look down, turn, 3 or 4 times, stop boxing, get used to it, just feel your brain start to settle, feel yourself get back to normal again, okay? Sorry, my eyes are still a little bit funny. Again, once you've done that, make sure it's worn off completely. Just get used to it, get the feeling back where you are. Same thing looking at the sky. Turning. Let's get busy, okay? Stop, boxing, moving. Get used to moving out the way. If you're really dizzy and you don't know what you are, at minimum, get used to moving like this. Because if you do get caught and you're panicked, you don't know where you are, the next punches are going to be coming straight at you. So the first thing you need to do is move out the way. Get used to just getting your head away from the position where it's in, because the chances are, if you've been caught and you're dizzy, your opponent is going to be capitalizing on that quick smart. So that's one thing that we can do to help with that. Another thing is forward rolls. I'm not going to do it because it's soaking wet, but if anyone knows how to do a roly-poly, actually I will do one or two. So you basically do roly-poly one way, roly-poly the other way like this. Okay, 1, 2, 4, straight away up. Okay, or you could go backwards the other way. You're basically trying to get your brain as dizzy as possible. So that is kind of it for that. I just wanted to talk a little bit about that before we got stuck into it, about how, as well as physical strength, you need to be prepared for getting yourself out of a sticky situations. There are lots of other different kind of coordination exercises that you can do. All these ones where we walk, opposite hand, opposite foot. So if you're a very basic beginner, a lot of people
struggle with this really hard.
It's really, really simple, but when you think about it, people just completely fall to pieces. So what we're going to do, I'll run through it now with you. Some people get this first time, no problem. Other people, it's a little bit more difficult. If you're one of the people where it's a little bit more difficult, don't worry about it. Just keep practicing it. So basically, the way it works is, it's exactly the same way that you walk. So when I walk, my opposite hand is coming up from my foot. That's how I walk down the street. So when I box, when I'm training my coordination for my boxing, I'm punching the same way. Okay? It's exactly the same way. And what that does is, it trains your brain, both sides of your brain, to function. So it's two things on the opposite side that are happening. You get used to it. Now when you're boxing, you're obviously not going to be boxing on the opposite foot. But if you're moving, you are going to have to punch and step. So all these types of things are good for training your brain. So once again, just from your stance, all I'm going to do is walk forward, step, step, step. When my left foot hits the ground, my right hand is going to go up, and when my right foot hits the ground, my left hand is going to go up. So like this. Opposites, okay? Step, 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 okay? As you get better at it, you can start training, getting used to punching, going faster, but slow it down to start with. If you're having trouble, a lot of people come in and they're like, you know, it's confusing once you think about it. You're not thinking about it when you're walking, you're just doing it. So if you are getting tripped up with that, just slow it back and do it really slow, even if you have to do it one at a time, you know, and then speed it up. All these types of things are going to help you for your coordination. There's plenty more of them. I'll talk to them another time when we have a bit more time to go into details. So that's it for that. I'm going to get Ciara out here. She's going to start with a little bit of a warm-up by doing some of those spinning shadow boxing things. Okay, so when you're ready, just 3 turns, finger in the air, and then just shadow boxing. Yep, looking up at your finger. Good. Okay, down on the ground. This is actually a trick. I just wanted to see what Ciara had been practicing since the last shadow boxing thing we did. Okay. And other way, yeah. Keep going, spin, faster. Okay, go. Okay, one more time, down the other way. Faster. Okay, and go. Okay, good, that's enough. Alright, so I just wanted to have a quick look at Ciara boxing without her thinking about it too much, so I could see what things had sunk in and what things were popping back up again, because that's what you want to do when you're practicing stuff. You want to practice something for a day, for a week, or whatever it is, but then you need to kind of go away and not think about it for a minute and then come back. You have another go, and then you can see what there is. So we're going to start right from the beginning here and go through absolutely everything from the stance up to the jabs. Okay, so in your stance. Okay, and I'm just going to get a little poker. Yeah, okay. So, When you're ready, in your stance, okay, on your toes. Okay, close your fists. Yeah, good. Yeah, tuck your chin down a little bit. Good. Bend your knees. Okay. Okay, when you're ready, just a single jab. Okay, leading hand. Okay, go full speed. Okay, good. Okay, fully extend that arm. We're still doing this halfway. So when you're punching, we need to make sure that you're turning the hips, that arm is getting all the way out. There's no point in punching halfway, especially if you're a bit shorter, maybe you have shorter arms. Your opponent might be a bit taller, they're going to have longer arms. It's going to be much easier for them to hit you than it is for you to hit them. So
and I'm just politely trying to say I've arms like a T-Rex.
So it's really important that when you're punching, you're turning that hip all the way so that your body is getting as close as possible and that arm is fully extending all the way out onto the target. Okay, again, just keep going in full speed, but just do one and then stop, and then one and then stop.
Okay.
Good. Yeah. Good. Okay. So I just want you to just on the spot, just
not move at all.
Just okay. turn your foot. Use it to prop your hip up. Yeah, good, and all the way out. Yeah. But you should be on your back toes as well. So I want to see both your feet moving. Yeah. Bend your knees. Okay, faster. Full speed. Full speed like this, look. Okay, and then stop.
Sorry, I misunderstood.
Yeah. Again. Again. Okay, just stop when you get out there. Yeah, okay, good. Again, back. Good. Okay, backhand now. Cool. Good. Good. Okay, that's good. Fully extending each time, turning that hip, turning that toe, all the way out, all the way back like a bullet. Same thing for the back, turning the hip, extending all the way out, looking down the gun sight, and then all the way back again. Okay. So 1, 2 when you're ready.
Standing in place.
Yep, standing in place. 1, 2, and then stop. 1, 2. Okay, again. Fully extend that arm, all the way out. It's not extending, you're not extending, come on. I know you can hit that stick. Good, again. Good. Okay, stop.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry.
Say hello.
Hi. Dory's in London.
The world! Okay, this time, just when you're ready, we're going to do 1, 2, and then I just want you to slip. We're going to check something, and then we're going to add a counter afterwards. Okay? Just so 1, 2, slip. Okay. So what we're going to do now, we've gone through in the previous videos the basic punches. We've done a little bit of shadow boxing. We've talked through some of the exercises. We've done our stance. We've done loads of the basic kind of stuff. So now all we're going to do is start with one thing after another, and we're going to start building up a few combinations. And that way, as you get better and as you practice, you will have an idea of what level you're at. Because as you're boxing, you want to start to get comfortable with the punches that you enjoy, the ones that are easier, and maybe work on the ones that are a bit harder for you. So we're going to just do a 1, 2, and then a slip, and we might add a couple on after that. Okay, so when you're ready, slip. Okay. Again. Just don't lift that back foot up off the ground when you're again. Okay. So now 1, 2, and then slip, and then backhand jab again. Again. Didn't extend on either of the first jab or backhand. So fully extending each one. Okay. Again. Good. Okay. So I just noticed Ciara's good form. She's thinking about her feet, she's thinking about everything. So all we're going to do now with the slip is, remember we talked about the pop down and up, boom, boom. So from here, 1, 2, boom, boom. That slip and counter has to happen instantaneously. So what we're going to do is work on this. 1, 2, slip and jab again very quickly. So 1, 2, boom, boom. 1, 2, boom, boom. 1, 2, boom, boom. That has to happen very, very quickly, okay? So we're going to try again. When you're doing your punches, what I want you to do is think the first two are you're setting up. 1, 2, boom, boom, okay? So if I was with my opponent, right, the first two punches are just for him to, or her to get their hands up or to block or to do something to distract them, okay? So you're throwing your 1, 2, right? You're going to get them to react. 1, 2, hopefully they're going to react by throwing a punch back at you. You're going to slip that punch and immediately come straight back over with the backhand. So you're 1, 2, bang! They've thrown their punch, you're prepared for it, and they haven't even got time to think about it because it's already happened. Ready? Here we go. Nice and slow, or not slow, but nice and relaxed on the 1, 2, and then pop into the slip and then back and counter. Close your fist at the beginning as well. Good. Fully extending. Good. We're still lifting that back foot up, so just think about when you're doing your punches. Actually, this time around, what we're going to do is don't throw your punches. Just pretend you're throwing your punches. Kind of like do the action in your mind. And I want you to just focus on your feet. That's it. So what's happening with your feet? So we are 1, 2, boom, boom. Okay. 1, 2, boom, boom. That action. 1, 2, boom, boom. But see, my foot is not lifting up or anything. It's staying on the ground for those two first ones, and then a quick pop for the slip. So just take it nice and slow, but just focus all your energy on your footwork and your balance. Yeah.
Is that what you want?
Yep, again. Again. Okay, but don't stop there. Go back to your guard afterwards.
You don't want me to throw the last punch.
If you feel like it wants to come out, you can throw it. But I just want you to focus on your feet for now, and not on too much on the form for your hands.
Not extending my hand.
Again, but again, see, you stopped here, and I honestly don't think about it, but you stop in here. So 1, 2, boom, and then back to your guard. Your guard. Yeah. Guard. Back to your guard again. Don't stop out here. Yeah, there we go. Good. Good. Keep going. Yeah. Good. Good. Much better. Okay. That's good. You can see already that movement's going to be much quicker. It's happening much quicker now. So 1, 2, back to your guard. And what we're actually going to do now is add another one, because it's like chess. You know, you're kind of planning ahead for what's going to happen, right? So we're going to do 1, 2, slip, back, okay? Or 1, 2, slip, back. Yeah, actually, we're going to do 1, 2, 1, 2, slip, back, slip, and turn. Can we do that one?
I don't know.
We're going to show nice and slow to start with. So let's do it. 1, 2, slip, punch, slip, and then swivel.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 1, 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's ham-fisted, but it happens.
Yeah. Start with the 1-2 slip, punch, slip. Okay. Again. Okay, but there's a bit too much hopping going on now, so we want to keep it nice and grounded, keep it nice and on the ground. When you're boxing, you have like a core energy that you're going to be directing. So I don't know if you've ever seen any of those Bruce Lee movies where you can see he's pushing the energy around. Okay, so you have your energy built up and you're kind of holding it here. And when you're boxing, you're directing your energy out, but you also have an energy which is grounded in the ground. So when you're fighting, although you're light on your feet and you're moving around everywhere, your energy is always going to be going to the ground. Okay, so when I'm punching like that, my core energy is directed straight into the center, into the floor. Boom. Even though I have power coming out, it's coming from the floor, like I have a bar through my head connected to the ground, and it's holding me there, right? So no matter what I'm doing, wherever I'm moving, my core is stuck. If you lose that, and if what can happen is people think they throw their energy, they throw their core energy out with the power, and they throw the core energy into the punch. And what happens then is your core strength and your core energy is going out and going up, and it's going to throw you off balance, and you're going to be stuck. So when we're doing things like the jabs, 1-2 slip, jab, slip, what we have to make sure is that our energy and our feet are grounded. So we're 1-2 slip, jab, jab. So we're always on the spot. So just with that in mind, have another go.
So you want 1-2 slip, jab, slip.
Yeah, 1-2 slip, jab, slip. Take it slow to start with, and then when you're ready, we'll do a full fight pace. About your feet as well. Good. Okay. A bit more turn. Again. It's very, very wet here, by the way.
It's not a good surface.
It's more than a drizzle.
That was wrong.
It's okay. You go. Yeah, good.
Don't pop at the end.
No. So we're just going to do that again. Ciara's going to stand over here and I'm going to stand here, and we're going to show you what it looks like for... no, you're going to come here. And she's going to do 1-2 slip, jab, slip, and I'm going to be the opponent, and we're going to show you how it looks. So we're getting ready to fight, and you're going to go... Yeah.
So, 1, 2, slip.
Okay? Alright, again. Okay, again. Again. Ready? Again. Again. One more time. Okay. Very good. So this time, with me sitting here, I just want you to try. Don't worry too much about it, but just try and do a swivel, and if you can, move back. Just try and get out from where you are. It's quite often your opponent, whoever it is, you might miss the first 2, maybe even 3, maybe you get lucky, but they'll catch on eventually, and then they'll come at you. They'll either get away or they'll come at you. So if they're coming at you, don't want to be standing in front of them. So do that again, and then just if you can, try and swivel or turn and just get out of there.
So 1, 2, slip, jab, slip, slip.
Yep. Slow the side forward. Yeah. That's good. So I'm going to walk forward when you swivel, and so you should be out of my way. Good. So you can see there, if I'm attacking, Ciara's going to be well out of my way by then. Good, that's all right. That's good. So you can see there already, we're doing things that we did last week, but we're just kind of re-emphasizing it, working on it. This is what you're going to be doing at home if you're practicing. Don't feel like that just because you do something once you're going to learn it. You have to keep going, you have to keep looking at it. If you want to film yourself, you can film yourself.
Send the videos to us.
Send the videos to us.
We'd love
yeah.
to see them. We won't publish them, but send them.
Yeah. Okay, so from there, I think what we're going to do now, 1, 2, slip, jab, get you 1, 2, slip, 1, 2, slip, okay? We'll try that one. 1, 2, slip, 1, 2, slip. So this is actually a really good one you can do if you have a partner or you want to practice at home to get used to that movement as well. So we'll start with the 1, 2 slip first, just to make sure we have it down, just like normal.
Just a single 1, 2 step.
Yeah. 1, 2, yeah. Okay, so start with the backhand first. What we're going to do is backhand, leading hand, slip. 1, 2, slip. Okay.
What's the point? Grind it and do.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Okay. So this time, 1, 2, slip, 1, 2, slip. Now this time, just speed it up a bit. It's the moment you're still doing 1, 2, slip, 1, 2, slip, 1, 2, slip. If you do that a couple of times first to get into the rhythm, and then when you're ready, reset. And 1, 2, slip, 1, 2, slip. Try and do it as fast as you can. Yeah, it's very slippy here. So the fact that Ciara is actually able to do these and not slip all over the place is actually a testament to the fact that she's learning and applying what we've done. And extending. Great, very good. Okay, so this time, when you're ready, 1, 2, slip, 1, 2, slip, move, and out of there, okay? Very good. That's alright, no, that's good. Keep going. Slow it down if you need to.
No, I'm just thinking.
Okay, so now, last thing just before we go, we'll see if we can add this on. This is actually, even though it's still simple stuff, this is actually quite advanced. You know, like, boxing really isn't that complicated. There's only a few punches that you need to master for a long time. You can use those same ones over and over. So we're kind of jumping ahead here. We could be breaking these down for hours each step. Yeah, years and years. So just before we go, we'll try this. So 1, 2, slip, 1, 2, slip, swivel, jab, jab.
Okay.
Okay, nice and slow to start with. Slip, 1, 2, slip, swivel, jab, jab. Good. Again, nice and slow. Thinking about your what feet, yeah. Good. Again. No, that's good. Keep going. Good. Okay, so I just want you to do that here, facing me, just on your own to start with, to get used to it, and then I'm going to come in and we're going to show how that works in real. Good. Good. Okay, so again, I'm gonna be your opponent. Oh no, I'm being hit. See, again. Boom, straight into the punch, okay? Again. Boom. So you can see we're just adding things, having a bit of fun. Once you've learned what we've done in the other videos, the shadow boxing, the jabs, getting your jab right, getting your backhand right, the swivel, the drag and slide, all of these building blocks that we've been working on in the previous weeks come together, and then you can start building your combinations to whatever way you feel comfortable. If you are boxing and you're getting in the ring and you're having stuff, you'll notice that when you're fighting, you'll get used to doing a few combinations that work for you. A combination that works for Ciara might not necessarily work for me, and vice versa. Some things, depending on people's movements, how they move naturally, how their boxing style is, their body shape. Sometimes a punch that works really well for one person that connects every time, that people always have their favourite punch or their favourite combination that they pull out that's really effective in a fight. And that will be completely different for every person, because you'll see when you fight people, you'll get caught with an obvious punch from someone and you'll think, Jesus, I didn't see that coming from them, because they just have a way of throwing it or a way of doing it. They've practiced it enough and it's really handy for them. So once you've been practicing the basics, you've got used to the shadow boxing, you're comfortable with how you're moving, all of the stuff that we've been talking about in the previous one, and you can go out there, you can start figuring out what your favourite punch is, start building your combinations and applying them to your training and getting better. So that's all for now. We're going to get out of the rain. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next week for some more fitness fun.